Okay, graphs of cosine functions, and few things to make note of: the amplitude, the mean position, the period, the range. The amplitude is an absolute value, so you have a negative and a positive. The mean position is where you're starting from, where the graph is starting from, or whether it's a translation, vertical translation is going up or down. And the n is the dilation factor from the y-axis, and a is the dilation factor from the x-axis. So let's have a look at an example, the original cosine function. So the amplitude is 1 there and -1, and the period is 2 pi. The highest point back to the mean position, so our mean position is 0, and back to the mean position, so the highest point back to the mean position, lowest point back to the mean position, then so that is half pi there, and that's going to be 2 pi. So it's always a good idea to start with dots. So that's 2 pi here, which is 2 pi. Cosine 2 pi is 1. So there. Then you follow the dots and you join. So that's 1. That's pi. That's 3 pi over 2. And that is your cosine, original cosine function. And let's have a look at when it's reflected. Reflection on the original graph. So again we have 1 there. Reflection, that's reflection on the x-axis. So instead of starting from the top, so this time we start from the bottom here. So that's going to be there. So another point there. So that's going to be half pi. It's always a good idea to, if your period is 2 pi, it's better to go half pi. So that's 3 pi on 2, 2 pi. And cosine pi is 1, it's -1. -1 times -1 is 1. Sine 2 pi is, cosine 2 pi is 1 times that one, that's going to be -1, so that's up there. So it is a reflection of our original graph, and that's it. Let's see when it undergoes a transformation, a cosine graph that undergoes a transformation, transformed cosine graph. So let's have a look at how it looks. All right, so our period will be 2n, 2 pi over n, which is 2. So when it's transformed, as this one is transformed, there's dilation and there is translation. So best thing is where the mean position is 0. We find the x-intercept and the y-intercept. X-intercepts. And we also know the amplitude, which is A, is 3, absolute 3. So plus or minus 3. X-intercept, we find when y equals to 0. So that means we zero that. So also the coefficient of the x we multiply onto the given domain. So that's going to be 2x. So that gives me 3 pi. So that is cos inverse 0. So that's going to be a half pi and 3 pi on 2. And because this one is over a pi, so we add 2 pi to this, half pi plus 2 pi. So that gives me 5 pi. And 2 pi to 3 pi on 2. So that's going to give me 7 pi again. And my next thing I have to do is I have to move the 3 pi over 3 to the other side. Let's do that's 3, that's better. That's that. Alright, so I use this side just to find the x-intercept. So that gives me 6 pi, so that's how you do the fractions. So that gives me 7 over 6, so that's 13 over 6. And the last one must be 19 over 6. So we divide 2 on both sides. So x is, so this is x-intercepts. These are x-intercept values. And we go back to the original domain. So any value that is above the original domain, the highest original domain, we disregard that value. Well, that's over, so we disregard this x value. Alright, the next thing is to find the y-intercept. So the y-intercept when x equals to 0. So that means pi on 3. So everything, well, this is going to be 0. So that's pi on 3, which gives me a half. Cosine pi on 3 is a half. So 3, so that's going to be 3 over 2. So that's going to be my y-intercept. So we have our x-intercept, y-intercept. So the next thing we need to find out is the value of the amplitude, the value of x at the amplitude, and also the value, so the value of x at the amplitude. So those are the values we need to find. Then after that, we graph our graph. So first we find the x-intercept, second the y-intercept, third we find the value of x at the amplitude. It's going to say values of x So our maximum value was, amplitude is 3, and no, it's going to be just A, I should say A. So I'm going to say 3 cosine 2x plus pi on 3 equals to 3. Then I solve that, that's going to be 1. So 2x cos inverse 1. So that's going to be, and 1. So that's going to be 2 pi. So that gives me 5 pi. Well, that gives me 3 pi, isn't it? So if I divide, well, if I take the 3 to the other side, it gives me 6 pi. So that's going. So also we need to find out, because the amplitude, remember that it's going to be an absolute value, so which means negative 3 as well too. So if I do that, negative 3, so that's going to be cos inverse, that's 3 there, cos inverse negative 1, which is, and pi minus pi on 3, so that gives me 3, well, yeah, 2 pi, so 2 pi over 3, then, yeah, 2 pi over 3, so divide by 2, so that gives me pi on 3. Yeah, 2 pi over 3, so the divide by 2, then the 2 goes. So, because our given domain was 0 to 2 pi, well, 3 pi over 2, so that means if I add one more x value, if I add pi to this, so values of x, I should say, at the amplitude are 5 pi on 6, so that's 1. The other one was pi on 3. So because that's up there, so that means I have to add one more pi, and also we need to get the value of x, well, so the value of y at the intercept, at the endpoints. So that's going to be, if I add one more pi, that's going to be pi on 3 plus pi, so that's going to give me 4 pi over 3. So also the endpoints, so there are 4 things we have to do: the x-intercepts, the values of the x-intercepts, the y-intercept, the values of x at the amplitude, and also the endpoints. So we also know that when x is 0, so it's going to be 3 over 2, so we already calculated that. So the other endpoint is also negative 3 over 2. So endpoints. So you need to indicate your endpoints. When x is 0, our y value is 3 over 2. And when x is 3 pi over 2, my y value is negative 3 on 2. So let us sketch that. And those are the most important values we have to have. So Alright, so now we need to indicate our values. So our amplitude was 3. Our y-intercept was 3/2, which is half of that. And also we had our amplitude as to be, well, 3, the highest value 3. Alright, that's y. And our x-intercepts, we also had our x-intercept as to be pi over 12. So x-intercepts, the values of x and the amplitude. So I'm just going to use dots. So that one was pi over 3 and one of the x-intercepts was, so we label it after, amplitude, so they're up there, another x-intercept. So we got pi over 12, that's one x-intercept. If you go back to it, or to the other one, so these are, so pi on 12, 7 pi on 12, 13 pi on 12. Alright, 7 pi on 12. And the other one was 13 pi over 12. Then we had our amplitude as to be, say, let's get this one there, up there, that's the amplitude, so which was 5 pi over 6. Then we had the endpoints, so one was 0, well, 0 there, so there, there. Then the next thing I have to do is the other amplitude, which is this one here, 4 pi over 3, and because it's restricted domain, 3 pi on 3, 3 pi over 2. So that was, and negative 3 on 2, so 3 over 2, so that's going to be somewhere there. And my other amplitude is this one here, just up there. So that's going to be 4 pi over 3, negative 3. That's one amplitude. The other one was 5 pi over 6, 3. And so those are the intercepts, the x-intercept. That's an amplitude. So that one was this amplitude here, so which is this one here, up there. So that's going to be pi over 3, negative 3. Alright, so that's going to be, now that is my y-intercept, I should say. My y-intercept. So let's join the dots now. So start with dots. So label all your intercepts, your amplitude, y-intercept, and then the next step is just to join the dots. That's a lot easier. Try to be smooth as possible. It's just a bit crooked, this one. I think I just missed something. Just did something wrong. That one was an amplitude. So just fix that. Fix that. That one was my amplitude. And that one was my intercept, which was 7 pi. Yep, that's better. That's an intercept. I have to go through the intercept. So that wasn't an intercept. So I made a mistake there. Fix that. That one was pi over 3. So I have to go through the intercept. Go through the pi. So that is 3 pi over 2. That's negative 3 over 2. So label your endpoints. And that is that was 7 pi over 12 x 0. Yes, that's it. This is transformed one, and my f of x function was 3 pi cos 2x pi over 3. Alright, the next lesson will be about cosine as sine. So this is cosine, sine.